Okay, this is the canteen that Mr. Alan Griffiths built. Basically, he was a bit of an Arthur Daly. No, just joking. But he could spot how to do a good investment. It used to be Katy Parry's drama room, a lot of this section. And it was, in its time, probably the best canteen in the county. Today we've got split lunches, and you can see the barricades in here maybe in a minute. And that's part of the COVID scenario. We've got Sharon Jones used to be canteen manager in here. Today we've got Glenn, Mrs. Fernquest, Wendy and Claire. The cleaners that help out include Barbara, my old cleaner, Joe, Mrs. Doc Brown, Jackie, Teresa, Dorota, Chelsea, and of course the addition, Martin Llewellyn. Okay, now we're in the sports hall, brilliant sports hall. The number of times we've had some fun in here, played games, charity or just badminton, it's been absolutely brilliant. Names I've got to mention here are Mrs. Norgrove, and the Norgrove Award is in memory of Mrs. Norgrove, and basically that goes towards the most outstanding student at Key Stage 4 each year. Daughter came to the school. Other people I must mention, Mrs. Locher, Beth and Reese Morgan, Emily Edwards, Miss O'Shea, Mr. Tanner, funny nights out, what a star, Mr. Moyes, who's now the deputy, poor Steve Aston, Mr. McCarthy, who's moved over to St. Joseph. Today we've got Mr. Banfield, who's head of boys PE, and there have been many staff involved in the PE department, including myself. Maybe the funniest one was Bulldog Jones. Okay, so let's move on. When I joined the school, let me start that one again. When I joined the school back in 1991, there were some serious DT characters. Gwyn Rowlands, Rob Brown, Fozzie Bear, Dave Williams, J.R. Davis, what's he going to say next? He was so funny. Tom Naylor, really clever guy, likes building houses. Margaret Jones was here, Mary Spratt and Sue Williams. He didn't mess with them, end of story. And they were given a lot of support by Cliff, Wayne and Sue Llewellyn. These days we've got the hard-working Alex Evans, Andrew Davis, Hayley Forshaw, Rebecca Owen and Carol, who has forever travelled the world with Bob. When I joined the school, Mr. Westermark and Mrs. Daniels were the art teachers, helped by the voluntary work done by Carolyn. And today we've got Miss Ellard and Miss Jess Collins, and the art room is my favourite room in the school. This is the cookery room, and this was used by Mrs. Jones. And I remember Mr. Tanner telling me a story about one of the lessons with Mrs. Jones. She'd put out some chocolate ready for cooking with the kids, and Di had eaten it. And when she confronted the class, saying that somebody had stolen the chocolate, eventually he owned up, but only after she'd given the class a bollocking. Okay, this used to be one of the biology rooms where Mrs. Parry used to teach, Emma Parry, and it then became a pastoral room. And it became a room for all of the heads of year to basically discuss the pupils, and it was a great idea brought in by Alan Griffiths. So basically we lost one science room, but we did put one science room outside in a porta cabinet, and of course this is the other science room. This is where Mrs. Veronica Wheel was working, and Mrs. Nicholas was next door, and Mrs. Humphreys taught in here. And we've got Amy Murphy and JJ, who are the other biology teachers today. And in the main corridor, we've got Beth and Marks' room. She's an assistant head. She does lots of work, especially with leading the school towards creative... let me start that again. Okay, we're in the main corridor now, and this is where Beth and Marks' room is. She's an assistant head, and she has led the school in many ways, including the creative side, made our school a creative school, and had a lot of support through the Arts Council.
Okay, I'm now in the geography corridor, and before I joined the school, Mrs. Rossa Davis had been head of geography, but when I got here it was Mr. Lewis with Mrs. Foster. So I joined, and then followed by Miss Mason, Jerry O'Keefe, Chris Mason. We got Mrs. Penquet, and we've had a variety of students, including Radu, who's here at the moment. Opposite were the IT rooms today, and they are called the CMF suites. Basically, Clever Mr. Foley, that's what we think it stands for. It used to be Nurture Rooms, and that's where Merv Williams and Terry Jenkins, Michelle, etc. used to work in. But today the IT room is run by Layla, and she brings a lot to the school, especially with the STEM connections. Also in this corridor, Miss Anderson, the head of Key Stage 3, and Mr. Thomas, in charge of Year 8. This is where they are housed. This is the photocopying room, which for many years has been the hub of the school. And we've got Jan Evans, who worked here, along with Joss Carpenter, Lorraine Ryder, Lynn Corish, and today we've got Miss Kath Elkins. Okay, so I'm at the office now, which is also one of the hubs of the school, because here they absolutely know everything. When I first arrived, Annette was the lady in charge here, and she was more like a head teacher. She's probably my only female head teacher in some ways, although she was the main secretary. Along with Janet Evans, Eleanor Tandy, Sharon, Diane, Lynn Corish, Sue Edwards, Kath Elkins, and then we had Naomi Evans, Sharon, Emma Finn, and Shannon. They've all been brilliant here. The first head teacher at Kevin Syson was Mai Edwards, who was a headmistress from 1973 to 1985. The second head teacher was Mr. Burgess, who went from 1985 to 1996. And then we had Mr. Alan Griffiths from 1997 to 2005. And then we had Mr. Lewis, who was the head teacher from 2005 to 2013. And the current headmaster is Mr. David Cole, who has gone from 2013 up to... This is one of the original aerial photographs that was taken at Kevin Syson. And one person that I have not mentioned is the Deputy Headmaster, Peter Jones. He was an outstanding deputy head, history teacher, brilliant with drama, and also we went to New York and we had a fabulous time there, and we did all sorts of things like watching the shows and ice hockey, etc. This is Mr. Cole's office. And he's been a brilliant head teacher. He's brought in so many new things into the school. And of course, this is one of the things that he's brought into the school, which is the new school. £30 million build, superb building. But one thing I will say about buildings, whilst this building has served us brilliantly for 50 years, I've come to realise that it's not about the bricks and the mortar. It's not about the glass and the roof. Schools are all about the people and the relationships. And that, I think, is why Kevin Syson has been such a brilliant school and will continue to be a brilliant school, because of the relationships between the staff and the pupils. So I want to thank you for listening to my little journal there on the history of Kevin Syson, and I know that there's a whole lot of it that I've missed out, but that's like a little guide down memory lane for you. Thank you.